I got no sugar, baby, now. I got no sugar, honey, baby, now.
Seem like it was that long ago that most of us knew exactly where almost every bite of food that we took came from. I'm pretty sure that, maybe not the generation that came before me, but I'm pretty sure the generation that came before my parents' generation knew for the most part where most of their food came from. So I think that's really what maybe tonight is all about, is just reconnecting with where our food comes from. So it's kind of a fun game. If you look at some of the questions, it just brings up topics of, you know, what was the first meal that you remember. I think my first memory of food actually pertains a lot to what's going on tonight. My great-grandparents owned a raspberry farm down on River Road, and some of the Strobels here might remember that or recall that raspberry farm, because apparently they did a lot of picking there to earn money to get new school clothes for the next year. So when I was about maybe 3 or 4 years old, I absolutely recall going through those raspberry farms with my great-grandmother. And my two brothers and I would basically we'd have a bowl in our hand, we'd just pick these fresh raspberries off of the vine. Then we'd take them inside, and Grandma would pour sprinkle a little bit of sugar right on top of the raspberries, and she'd fill that bowl up with a little bit of half and half. And it was the most amazing taste. Still, I mean, to this day, there's no question, raspberry hands down is my favorite taste of all. So, I mean, and I'm sure I wasn't much more than 3 or 4 years old, and to have that memory so seared in there is pretty amazing. So, I hope you guys enjoy. Just like I said, take 15 or 20 minutes and really try to recall some of those memories that you have. And then as soon as we get the food up on the table, we'll come back up and we'll direct you to the direction of where that food is, and then we'll really eat some great, some incredible food tonight. So thanks once again so much for coming, and we'll see you soon.
Hi everyone, great to be here. Thank you all for coming. I know the PCC Farmland Trust is really excited to be a part of this and to be part of Kim and Dan's community, and so that means we're all kind of going to be a community here very soon, hopefully. That's really exciting for us. So a little bit about PCC Farmland Trust. We are a land trust, and we protect organic agriculture in the Pacific Northwest. And we focus primarily on Washington, but our mission is the Northwest, so we haven't gotten to Oregon yet, so we'll get there someday. But we're really excited to be a part of this project and working with Pierce County, and it's been an amazing learning experience. And I have to tell you that the things that are being said about Kim and Dan are just remarkable. I've been with the trust for 7 months, and from day one I had been hearing about these farmers that were keeping the Ording project pulled together, and they were often referred to as the glue that was keeping this project together, along with Kimberly at Pierce County. And it was just amazing to finally meet Dan. And I've actually never met him, but I actually feel like I know them so well because I've heard so many fantastic things about them and know that they will do wonderful things in Pierce County and at Tahoma Farms. And so yeah, we're super excited. The trust is holding the easement on the property, so we'll be in charge of stewarding the property. So I look forward to working with Kim and Dan on that. And if anyone has any questions about the trust or what we do, or any ideas or anything like that, I'd love to hear it. And I look forward to another meeting like this sometime down the road, celebrating the success of this whole project. So thank you.
I'm Mary Hamilton. I'm Executive Director of Cascade Harvest Coalition. And we are a regional nonprofit that supports a sustainable regional food system, which is kind of a big, broad statement, but under that we have a number of programs. One, trying to educate just people who live here about what's grown locally and where they can find it. So we produce a farm guide and the CSA directory and good things like that. We also have a farm link program that connects aspiring farmers with farmland, and hopefully provide them tools and access to resources and information so that they can be sustainable once they're on the land. And then we do a lot of other things that just tries to make it easier for farmers to make a living here and easier for consumers to find local food wherever they eat, whether it's at a restaurant or institutionally at schools, hospitals, and things like that. And I was going to start off and say things about that there is this crisis in the food system. And I'm certain, given all of you here are probably familiar, that there are some pretty deep and profound changes that are taking place right now that are going to affect our economy and our communities and our environment. And the solution to some of those is to actually bring more of what we do, the transactions between ourselves and other people in our community, closer to home. And it's no more, I guess it's the most true and the most valuable is to bring how we eat closer to home. So to have more local farmers, more local production, distribution, processing, to shorten those supply chains so that we can reduce our carbon footprint, we can reduce all the inputs that go into, not only production and distribution, energy use, but all the things about also recovering food and waste recycling and things like that. And so it's critically important that we have local farms and local farmers. So it's really good to know that Kim and Dan are here, and I've had the pleasure of knowing them for some time now, several years, and getting to know the next generation of Holsons, which is really great. And so I think it's really important that we, as a community, continue on something that a bigger part of the community started. The people that are largely unknown to us gave money to the PCC Farmland Trust, believing that the preservation of farmland for organic production was critically important to our region. And so we're coming together today here in community to support aspiring farmers, to get them on the land, to continue that, not only for us, but for future generations. Their children, you're going to have more than one, right? Yes. And everybody else's. And so I think the beauty of all of this is that there are these kind of circles out there of good intention and goodwill to create a system that we belong to that not only supports us, our health, but the health of the environment, the health of our communities, not only for us, but for future generations as well. And so I think today that we can feel very proud to come here tonight, to be together, to celebrate this, and to support it. Because, Gandhi said it the best, be the change you want to see in the world. So we have the opportunity, which I think is very rare, to actually affect the outcome and to affect what our landscape looks like and the very health of our communities. So I'm here and I want to encourage you to give very generously. I'm going to hand mine over to you right now. And I'd like, oh, you're welcome. And I just feel really good to be here. There's so much energy. I want to say one thing, and to give you more hope, is I made these comments, but I'm not going to use them. Well, I was going to try to be really eloquent or something, and it's off the cuff is much better for me. I spent the last 3 days at the Western SARE conference for stakeholders, and SARE is Sustainable Ag Research and Education. And they have been funding sustainable ag research and education for the last 20 years. And they have done some very instrumental things in helping talk about, soil productivity, new enterprises, building stronger communities around local food systems. And we talked about what they were going to do for the next 20 years. And on the top of that list, from every district within the Western region, so it's like 7 different meetings from Guam to Spokane to, I think California is next, is supporting new farmers came out on top. Everybody realizes that it's very important that we have that next generation of farmers. So when you hear this census data that just came out that says, well, let's see, on average, I guess over the last 5 years, we lost about 200 acres a day of agricultural land. So that makes what we're doing here tonight even more important. The average age of farmers in Washington and throughout the United States is about 57.